This is what I love seeing, this part here, because this is where we're going to live. You know, the locker room, the facilities, coming out of the tunnel. I mean, this is what it's all about for a player and the coaches and the staff is right here. This tunnel right here is what epitomizes the whole thing. This is awesome. This is really energizing.
We only get to do this once to try to take advantage of it.
It's really awesome, guys. We got to take care of business this year. Next year, though, I think the excitement that you're talking about is more about getting on a bus, knowing it's our stadium. We're not renting it from anybody else. This is our field, our turf, our home. We protect our home.
November 13th, 2017. The first shovel of dirt was removed from a 62-acre plot of land just west of the Las Vegas Strip. The Raiders, united with a team of tireless leaders from Nevada, are creating an ultra-modern, permanent stadium for the Raider Nation to call home. These are the stories of the people and the project, told from the ground up. Pride, pressure, and progress are all evident as the stadium inches closer to completion. On the ground and in the news, the excitement for the building is on display with the announcement of the first non-Raiders, non-UNLV major sporting event to be held at the stadium.
The vision was to build a building that would attract and create new events, enhance and augment existing events, and create a new venue so that the biggest events in the world could come to the greatest city in the world for this stage. And so that reality is here.
With plenty of work left in construction, the biggest challenge on this project at the moment, the thing that keeps everyone up at night, is the building's intricate steel skeleton.
The truss columns have been set to approximately here. This core is now topped out. Well, we've already started now erecting the truss columns over here between cores 1 and 2. And then the bowl steel on this side is going to continue and chase the truss columns around that west side there.
There's a lot on the line for everyone involved. And while tensions run high, everyone on the team takes extreme pride in the project.
The current schedule has over 23,000 individual tasks identified, and each of those tasks has a logic train to it, that if one task changes, it may affect and change several hundred successor tasks. The scheduling process in and of itself is highly complicated. It requires a dedicated staff doing nothing other than constantly monitoring and adjusting the schedule to reflect changes in supply chain logistics and production on the ground and a number of other conditions. The only time a schedule is completely accurate is after the building's completed. So for instance, the production of the steel, which was very complicated, incurred a delay. It caused us to then reconfigure the schedule to overcome that delay. In some cases, durations of those tasks were shortened. In other cases, those tasks were stacked on top of other tasks. In other cases, they were taken out of sequence. In a way, it's just a much more glorified, complicated process of that which we do every day in our normal lives. Our plan is to wake up in the morning, to brush our teeth, to get dressed, to have a cup of coffee, to read the newspaper, to get in our car, to go to work. But sometimes we may run late. We're not going to avoid brushing our teeth, but maybe we'll get that cup of coffee to go and do it while we're driving. So we're constantly encountering schedule changes in our daily life.
It's a complex structure for both manufacturing and assembly, and it's vital in keeping the building's striking aesthetic.
The reason there's so much steel is it's quite a large building. It has to hold up a lot of weight. And there is one, let's say, structural gymnastic that the engineers had to overcome, and that's the opening end of the stadium that overlooks the Strip. We did not want to have any columns in there, and yet there's this massive roof that has to go continuously over a very large opening. A lot of the steel that you're seeing on one end of the building is actually related to the other end of the building because the whole building has to work simultaneously.
I would say we obsessed a lot over the canopy because of all the pieces of steel that you're going to see in photography and the fan experience, they're going to see a lot of that. And part of that solution was to make it look as clean as possible all the way around to really let that ETFE Oculus float. It's alarming, I think, in some ways when you walk around and see how much of the steel there is. Everybody knows you're going to see it, especially in these big buildings. It's everywhere.
We actually have two independent structures. There's an outer vessel structure, which is what we call it. You could look at it as a shell over the building. That structure is the vessel, and then second to that is the bowl structure inside of the building.
The stadium is built on 8 cores. So these cores are fastened to the steel under the ground through pilings, but these are really to create the outer shell or the vessel portion of the building. If we bring this all the way around, you'll now have what we're referring to as the bowl section of the stadium. It's a ring, basically, with a bunch of seats in it. We now have to connect this to all this roof structure and everything, but we want to connect it loosely.
Horizontally, the structures move independent in the event of wind load, seismic, temperature, things of that nature.
If I stand and I build my building stiff and all I can do is fall over, if I build a spherical bearing, it allows me kind of at the waist to adjust and to absorb some movement laterally. So we're going to put spherical bearings into the building. Just look kind of like that, kind of like pivoting joints in these areas here, so that when we build roof steel canopy sections on top of it and then build our way around on the roof steel, we have spherical bearings to manage that movement. And we're only talking a couple inches, but when you're talking about a building this size, 1.75 million square feet, just a temperature change alone can cause this building to swell by a couple inches. We need to be able to relieve the pressure that's created in these points. We don't want the glass to shatter. We don't want steel to bend. We don't want concrete to crack. We want the bearings to absorb that movement.
On a job like this, you can't just walk into your local steel supplier and start pulling items off the shelf. With material delivery times approaching a year, the steel for the job was ordered long before designs and engineering were finished.
We saved a lot of money that otherwise would have been dissipated and bought nothing for the project. 27,000 tons of structural steel has to fit together like a Swiss watch. The geometry of the building is very complex. It's elegant, but it's complex. There are over 20,000 individual pieces of structural steel.
As the skeleton's design adds one layer of complexity, another major challenge is the installation of over 54 million pounds of steel. Being one of the largest private sector steel jobs in the U.S. at the moment, the Mortenson-McCarthy joint venture takes advantage of its relationships throughout the country to leverage manufacturing capacities with multiple fabricators. But the logistics of managing all of that require an all-hands-on-deck approach.
We're utilizing 19 fabrication shops across the country right now. I mean, as you can see, we've got shops from Stockton, California to Virginia, and north to south from basically the Canadian border down to the southern border. So we're spending basically 7 a.m. to 12 noon every day talking to them, making sure any and every little constraint that might be holding up their progress is eliminated.
Is that you, Dave?
Yep, this is Dave, sorry.
Nope, you're good. We want to start with sequence 5171. So yesterday we had fit and fab at about 50%.
Right, and that's the one that has the change order work on it, the one they're working on
with the added gusset plates.
Yeah.
And you've got the drawings for that and everything?
Not yet.
Expecting
We're supposed to have those today.
Today, okay. Any reason they shouldn't expect to have those today?
Nope, they'll have them today.
Okay. 6442.
6442, no change from yesterday. Still waiting on the paint bay.
And that's still scheduled for 121, right?
To be in the paint bay, yes.
Yeah.
5101,
6422,
5032,
4421,
5252,
4422,
5492,
5491,
5450, 5472,
5211,
6412,
5011, 5212,
5012.
Hoping to see that needle move every couple days at a minimum.
Thanks, guys. We got to get set up on the next call here.
The tolerances on this project are insanely tight, which means the steel components, some running as long as 700 feet, must line up on point. This is not a 1% margin of error, or even 0.5% margin of error. This is a 6/100,000th% margin of error that they must all fall within. Think about that. It's incredible.
The amount of effort that went into planning this was something that most of us hadn't seen to that level before. When we set a piece in the air and we let it off the crane, gravity's going to pull it down and there's nothing we can do to stop that. Back in 2017, we started what we call a stage construction analysis process and trying to anticipate, based on our construction sequence, where they're going to deform to make sure at the end of the day, the structure is where it needs to be to support the curtain wall on the outside and the cable net on the inside and within all the tolerances that are required. You could go through and shore this entire building, build the entire roof canopy, and then take it all down at the same time, and it would be precisely where the design placed it at. To do that, though, would have taken another year.
With this level of precision, coupled with the fact that there are millions of eyes on this project, that means the quality of construction and finishes are at the forefront of everyone's mind.
There's a lot of quality control involved on the structural side of things. There's obviously a lot of fabrication quality.
Attempting to paint this much steel in place is truly a logistical nightmare. The decision was made early on to coat the steel at the point of fabrication.
It's much better at their plant to do it because they're equipped with all the right support for beams of this weight, and you have a controlled environment. Way better than trying to figure all the different angles and have people hanging over the sides with swing stages and chairs. That'd be a nightmare.
This helps eliminate everything but touch-ups on site. The teams continue to toil through the design, engineering, and fabrication issues and challenges. Piece by piece, the steel arrives on site, gets assembled, and is lifted into place, leading to one of the stadium's biggest milestones yet, the first lift of one of the massive roof canopy trusses. Stay with us as we take you on an unprecedented look into the techniques and technologies, the steel and the stress, as well as the lives of the men and women responsible for building an ultra-modern stadium from the ground up.